Hare Krishna, Mother. So, thank you all for joining today. Okay. So, welcome. So, can anybody guess what are we going to discuss today? Just a wild guess.
Shloka.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. So, what shloka from where? Any idea? Okay. So, as part of our schedule, today we are supposed to discuss about
4.
Yeah.
Shloka 4, Prabhuji. 4 section.
Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, 22nd and 23rd. Two slokas we are going to discuss. Okay. So, does anybody remember? Does anybody practiced reciting slokas? I mean, last Saturday we did a session to practice reciting slokas. Anybody practiced? Anybody practicing daily? Okay. So I request all of you to try practice reciting slokas so that you will be you will become fluent in reciting slokas, which will help you a lot. Okay. So which will actually attract you to read Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So that's the power of the slokas. If you try to remember, memorize, recite them daily. Okay. So wonderful. No problem. Please keep trying. Try reciting daily so that it will be helpful for you. So let's start today's session. Just give me one quick moment. Thank you. So, so the name of today's session is Journey of Soul. Okay. So this session is dedicated to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Acharya, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Okay. So, is everybody able to view my screen? Is my screen? Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. So, anybody wants to recite the sloka?
Yes, Prabhuji, can I?
Yeah, please go ahead, Mataji.
Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya navani grunati naroparani tada sharirani vihaya jirna nanyani samyati navami dehe.
Thank you, Mataji. Wonderful. I really appreciate for reciting the sloka. Can anybody read the translation?
As a person put on new garment, given up old one, the soul similarly accept new material body, given up the old and useless one.
Thank you. So, this sloka, Vasam se Jirnani, Yata Vihaya, it has a wonderful purport written by Srila Prabhupada. Let's try to read that. The purport's commentary given by Srila Prabhupada is so wonderful, powerful that they simplifies the great philosophy into simple words which can be understood easily. So I'll open the purport. So let's try to read the purport as well of this sloka. Okay. So I request anybody who did not read yet, please read this first 4 lines.
Prabhuji can't see purport, Prabhuji.
Oh, you're unable to see? Now?
No.
Okay, one more. Just give me 1 moment. Can you see now?
Yes.
Please read the first 4 lines.
Changing of body by the someone else wants to read.
Yeah, who haven't read yet, I request anybody, please come forward and read.
So because I heard a voice, I just shut up.
Okay. So Priyanka Mataji.
Prabhuji, can I read?
Yeah, please go ahead, Mataji.
Change of body by the atomic individual soul is an accepted fact. Even the modern scientists who do not believe in the existence of the soul, but at the same time cannot explain the source of energy from the heart, have to accept continuous changes of the body which appear from childhood to boyhood and from boyhood to youth and again from youth to old age. From old age, the change is transferred to another body. This had already been explained in a previous verse 2.13.
Thank you, Mataji. So, okay. So, can anybody read this purport, this commentary from transference of atomic individual from there?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can I read?
Yeah, please go ahead, Mataji.
Transference of the atomic individual soul to another body is made possibly by the grace of super soul. The super soul fulfills the desire of the atomic soul as one friend fulfills the desire of another. The Vedas, like the
Manduka.
like Manduka Upanishad, as well as
Shweta.
Shvetavatsara Upanishad compare the soul and the super soul to two friendly birds sitting on the same tree. One of the birds, the individual atomic soul, is eating the fruit of the tree, and the other bird, who is Krishna, is simply watching his friend. Of these two birds, although they are the same in quality, one is captivated by the fruits of the material tree, while the other is simply witnessing the activities of his friend. Krishna is the witnessing bird, and Arjuna is the eating bird. Although they are friends, one is still the master and the other is the servant. Forgetfulness of this relationship by the atomic soul is the cause of one's changing his position from one tree to another, or from one body to another. The jiva soul is struggling very hard on the tree of the material body, but as soon as he agrees to accept the other bird as the supreme spiritual master, as Arjuna agreed to do by voluntary surrender unto Krishna for instruction, the subordinate bird immediately become free from all lamentation. Both the Manduka Upanishad and Shvetavaswatara confirms this. Shvetavatsara.
Okay, thank you. So there is an Upanishad called Shvetaswatara Upanishad. Okay, in that it is mentioned as Samane Vrukshe Purusho Nimagno Anishaya Shochayati Mukhyamana Justum Yada Pashyatya Anya Isham Asya Mahimanam Iti Vita Shokaha. So as and when the the individual jiva, the living entity, the soul, recognizes that Supreme Personality is a constant companion of me. When the soul, the jiva realizes that, that's when once at once he gets relieved of all his sinful activities, sinful actions. Okay, so next. Okay, so we'll stop here regarding this. So today I want to discuss about the entire journey of the soul. So we will read the second sloka and the purport as well. There is some important information regarding the philosophies that are being piled up in the current situation. I also want to give some insight about that as well. Okay, so we'll quickly recite the next sloka and then we will discuss and understand how the soul starts its journey and how the journey goes on. Okay. So next sloka 2.23. Today we are supposed to discuss 22 and 23 of second chapter. Okay. So does anybody want to recite the sloka?
I can do it. Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, please go on.
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, please.
Nainam chidanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kledyantyapho, na soshyati marutaha.
Thank you, Sapan, bro. Wonderful. I really appreciate for taking initiative to read the sloka. Thank you. Can anybody read the translation?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, go ahead.
The soul can never be cut into pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind.
Thank you, Deshi Prabhu. I really appreciate. Okay. So please, somebody read the purport, half purport. The commentary by Srila Prabhupada.
Prabhuji, can I?
Yeah, please go ahead, Mataji.
All kinds of weapons, swords, flame weapons, rain weapons, tornado weapons, etc., are unable to kill the spirit soul. It appears that there were many kinds of weapons made of earth, water, air, ether, etc., in addition to the modern weapons of fire. Even the nuclear weapons of the modern age are classified as fire weapons. But formerly, there were other weapons made of all different types of material elements. Firearms were counteracted by water weapons, which are now unknown to modern science. Nor do modern scientists have knowledge of tornado weapons. Nonetheless, the soul can never be cut into pieces nor annihilated by any number of weapons, regardless of scientific devices.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. So I request anybody to read the second half of the commentary, purport.
Prabhu, can I read?
Yeah, please go ahead, Mataji.
The Mayavadi cannot explain how the individual soul came into existence simply by ignorance and consequently became covered by the illusory energy. Nor was it ever possible to cut the individual souls from the original supreme soul. Rather, the individual souls are eternally separated parts of the supreme soul. Because they are atomic individual souls, eternally, sanatana, they are prone to be covered by the illusory energy, and thus they become separated from the association of the Supreme Lord. Just as the sparks of a fire, although one in quality with the fire, are prone to be extinguished when out of the fire. In the Varaha Purana, the living entities are described as separated parts and parcels of the Supreme. They are eternally so, according to the Bhagavad Gita also. So even after being liberated from illusion, the living entity remains a separate identity, as is evident from the teachings of the Lord to Arjuna. Arjuna became liberated by the knowledge received from Krishna, but he never became one with Krishna.
Thank you very
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Thank you
Thank
very much, Mataji. I thank you all for taking step forward to read these slokas in purport. That really makes the session interactive. I really appreciate. Even before giving the class, I read these purports twice, thrice, because Prabhupada's purports commentaries are so knowledgeable that at same time he conveys the message of Lord, and he also alerts us to be aware of the speculative commentaries on Bhagavad Gita. There are many commentators, there are many Bhagavad Gitas. However, each come up with their own speculative knowledge analysis, but they don't come up with the true intention of Lord. Okay, but Prabhupada conveys that. So in this sloka, Prabhupada wonderfully conveyed about the other philosophers, how they interpret the the actual knowledge, and present their own their own commentary and their own thoughts. Okay, so today wonderful two slokas which convey the message of how the soul travels. Soul constantly changes its body from boyhood to youth to old age, and then again once the soul leaves the body, it takes another body. Like how the way we change our clothes daily, as and when they become dirt. Okay, in the same way, soul, when the time as per the specified time is completed, then the soul also changes the body. So Krishna wanted to convey this message to Arjuna, who is lamenting who is lamenting that he is going to be the cause of killing of those living in this whom he is going to fight. However, no. So they are destined to leave their bodies when their time comes. Okay, and another important thing that Krishna wanted to convey over here is, soul, though it constantly travels, it always has that individual identity. Okay, however, at the present day, there are many speculative scholars who what they come up with is that soul, when the human being does a lot of spiritual practices, when the because of their spiritual strength, once they quit the body, once the soul quits the body, that soul will travel and will merge into the supreme cosmic manifestation. Like that, they come up with different speculative analysis, but that is not entertained over here, even by the Lord, even by Srila Prabhupada as well. Krishna clearly he conveys that soul cannot be cut into pieces. Nayanam chindanti shastrani nayanam dahati pavakanda chainam gledayantyopo soshati. He says it cannot be cut, it cannot be fired, it cannot be drenched. So it carries that individuality. However, so what happens? What does soul do with this individuality? Okay, so that we'll try to learn little bit. Okay. Okay. So when a soul acquires a body after it lives in the body, when it changes the body, so what happens? There are few options that are given to soul, living entity, while he is leading the life on this planet Earth. So there are different options which come across to him, but whichever option he chooses to, in that way the soul travels after the soul quits the body. Okay, so Shastras say that we all know, being a Sanatan Dharmi, from coming from a Sanatan Dharma background, from the childhood we know that there is Atma, there is soul, there is hell, heaven, and there is something called moksha. Like that, we all hear these words. However, nobody knows how many types of ways that a soul can travel into. Okay, so first of all, let's understand the features of soul. Okay, see, it is seated in the heart, like the way sun stands at one place. Okay, but the sun rays are spread across the globe. In the same way, the soul seated in the heart, the consciousness of soul is spread across the body, and the size of the soul is the 10,000 tip of, if a hair is taken and if the tip of the hair is cut into 10,000 parts, how much would be the size? That would be the size of the soul. Okay, and the consciousness unchanging, does not undergo 6 kinds of changes: janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi, dukkha. All this, it doesn't undergo, and eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss, and always constant seeker of God. Okay, and it is fireproof, waterproof. That's what we learned. Travels from one body to another. Okay, so first and foremost thing we will try to learn. Okay, so for example, a soul has taken a body, and it led a very peaceful, pious, and spiritual life. Okay, with a lot of sadhana. And what happens to that soul? Okay, a soul who has done spiritual practices, then after that soul quits body, it will have few options. Okay, like getting liberated. Okay, getting liberated and becoming a companion, of Lord getting liberated and going into the abode of the Lord, like that. Those are called different options that a soul has. Okay, let's try to learn one by one pitch. Okay, so these are called types of mukti. There are 5 types of liberations. They are called 5 types of mukti. The first one, Saija Mukti. So anybody heard of this word Saija Mukti?
No.
Okay. So the Saija Mukti, what the speculators they say is that this type of mukti or liberation is to merge into the existence. Our birth was formed, the Supreme Absolute. Then after liberation, we emerge into the existence. Okay. So they say that once the soul quits the body, it will merge into the Supreme. However, here in the 2.23 sloka, it is said that soul cannot be cut, soul cannot be fired. So when the soul has a quality of getting sliced, how can the soul again go back and merge to the whole? So it still tries to live as a atomic, individual atomic entity in at a place where the supreme unmanifestation form is there. Like in this picture it is shown, like so there are small dots you can see. Okay, this is how the soul continues to live. Okay, if they aim to just get liberated from the body. So there are different types of spiritual practitioners. What they do is, there are, it is divided into 2 parts. One is, one who does practice spirituality to just get liberated. That is called salvation, the mukti, the moksha. I just want to, some people, they practice spirituality just to get rid of this body. That's it. They don't have any other aim of serving Lord, getting into the loving exchanges of Lord, becoming aspiring for the association of Lord's devotees. They don't have all this. They just try to practice to get liberated, get rid of this body. That's it. Okay. However, okay, and these the source of this supreme cosmic manifestation, which is unmanifested, the source of that is Krishna only. It is clearly explained in Bhagavad Gita itself, 14.27. It is said, Brahmano hi pratishtaham amrutasya veyasya cha shashvitasya cha dharmasya sukasya ekantikasya cha. And I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. Okay. So Krishna is conveying that those who aim for the salvation, liberation, and getting merged into the unmanifested supreme Brahman, okay, for them also, I am only the source. That's what Krishna conveyed in Bhagavad Gita. But people, they don't understand. They don't try to understand Bhagavad Gita with the heart of Krishna. Okay, with the heart of devotee. So they just try to understand it in speculative way, and they miss this information, valuable information. Okay, and they mislead the masses of people that there is no God there is no form to God, there is no name to God. The God is some almighty supreme consciousness where we have to go and merge. Like that, they come up with a different analysis, which is misleading to the masses of people. So we have to be aware of such philosophies, and that is not being suggested by any acharyas. Even the most, it is said that the supreme Brahman, the unmanifested practice, which is being suggested by Shankaracharya, he also says, what he says is that, Kamyopasana vyartayante anudhinam kinchit phalam sevipsitam kechit swargam athapavargam apare yoghadi yajnadibhi asmaka yadunandanamagri yugala dhyana avadhan artinam kim lokena dhamena kim nrupitena swargopavargascha kim. So can anybody read this translation just down to the sloka? Who did not read yet? Anybody?
those who waste their time from the attachment of celestial attainment of celestial joy or liberation, mukti, aparvarga, are fools. I do not want any of that. I only desire to remain engrossed in the sweet remembrance of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. What is the need for pleasures of this world or heaven or mukti to expel prema bhakti of the Lord?
Exalted prema bhaktas of
Bhakti
the Lord.
of Lord.
So,
Thus okay.
Yeah, thank you, Matas. Thank you very much. So, Shankara, people say that, Shankaracharya introduced a philosophy that, God is a supreme Brahman, unmanifested form. We have to aim for that. But the same person, what he is suggesting, obviously in Vedas, the description of God, sometimes it is mentioned as unmanifested. Okay. So he is unmanifested and he is manifested as well. Okay. That we have to learn. That we have to learn from the prema bhaktas of the Lord only. Shankaracharya, being a very pure devotee of Lord Krishna, at the end of his life, he gave a wonderful scripture. In that scripture, he gave his pure thought, pure intention, what he wants to aim for. Though there is a description of, aiming for liberation, salvation, hell, heavenly planets, but he did not desire to. He desired to become a, pure servant of Lord. Okay, that's what he conveyed. Okay. So why we are discussing about Shankaracharya is because, people, majority of the people who follow Shankaracharya, so they come up with this kind of unmanifested, formless, nameless God concept. Okay? So that is not entertained by any of the acharyas, nor in the Bhagavad Gita by Supreme Personality himself. Thus, to Shankaracharya, it appears to consider all objects, including final liberation, as insignificant in comparison to constant loving meditation of the lotus feet of his beloved Lord Sri Krishna. Okay, and in our philosophy also, acharyas doesn't suggest one to aim for Sahajya Mukti, because see, when the soul quits the body, when this, entire material manifestation gets devastated after the yuga cycles are being completed, that point of time also we go back to the unmanifested form only. For a long period, we stay in an unmanifested form with the individuality of his soul. And when Brahma starts creation, again, we come into existence. Okay, so why do we have to struggle, endeavor to become an unmanifested entity when it is happening by itself at the end of yuga cycle? There's no point in becoming that, right? So what do we have to aim for? So next we'll try to learn what are the other different options that we have, wherein we can establish connection with the Supreme Personality of God. Okay. So the next one comes, the second type of mukti is Salokya Mukti. Can anyone read the translation?
Yes, Prabhuji, can I?
Yeah, please go ahead, Mataji.
Yeah. Salokya means one can get habitation, residence on the same planet where God resides. That is Salokya Mukti.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mataji. So when soul, after doing lot of spiritual practices, if they do spiritual practices with a jnana, perspective, then, they aim for salvation, becoming, going back to some unmanifested form. However, the soul also has an option to aim for Salokya Mukti, which is being constant companion. Okay, so here in this picture, you can see how these, entities are playing with God. So, Supreme Personality, he resides in a adobe which is called Goloka Vrindavan. Okay, so if a soul tries sincerely, practices the bhakti marg, bhakti yoga sincerely, and constantly recites the names, chants the names of Supreme Lord, they get a chance to go back to Godhead, which is one of the mukti that is called Salokya mukti, who get chance to go back to this place which is called Goloka Vrindavan, or some aim for Vaikuntha planets. Where again you can be a companion, you can be a sakar, you can be you can develop some relationship with God by getting by going back to Godhead when you practice and aim for this Salokya Mukti. So you get a Mukti where you will be a Saka of the Lord or companion of that abode where Lord resides all the time. Okay. So we can aim for this. However, these are different types of liberations, but a pure devotee, they doesn't aim for anything. So they give their best practices and they leave it to God. So, my dear Lord, my intention is to serve you and do the devotional services sincerely, and I leave it to you whatever you gift me or whatever you want me to do. However, this is some information that we are trying to learn, so that our aim, our vision, what happens to the soul when it quits the body will be clear. Okay. So next comes the third type of mukti, which is called Sarupya Mukti. Can anybody read the translation? Anybody?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Sarupya Mukti. It means the Mukta becomes like a liberated soul becomes like the Supreme Lord, just like Narayana. Narayana has got 4 hands with Shankha, conch, chakra, discus, gada, club, and Padma, lotus flower. So everyone who attains that Sarupya Mukti becomes like the Supreme Lord.
Yeah. So it doesn't mean that he will get all the energies of Supreme Lord. So they take a form of Chaturabhuja form, and they are the army of you can say they become an army of the Supreme Lord, who also get similar kind of body of Supreme Lord, but the difference between the one who get this Sarupya Mukti and Supreme Lord is that the Sarupya Muktas, they don't have the Kaustubha Muni, which is located in the chest of the Supreme Lord. Okay, and they only serve. They always aspire to serve, but they never act as Supreme Lord. Okay. So that kind of a celestial body they get, soul a soul always needs a body to exhibit its qualities. Okay. So first we were discussing about the unmanifested salvation kind of position. Second, we were discussing about the companionship, being a resident of the supreme abode. And third one, Sarupya Mukti, wherein we get a body like a supreme lord, which is of Chaturabhuja, but we don't become supreme lord. So these people who get these bhaktas who get the supreme body of supreme Sarupya Mukti, they always aspire to serve. Like you might have heard about Jaya Vijaya, who were the gatekeepers of Vaikuntha. They were also they also had the body of Chaturabhuja form. So those who step into Vaikuntha Loka, they get this kind of body, Chaturabhuja form. Okay. And the next one is the fourth one, Samipya Mukti. Can anybody read? Anybody who did not read yet? Or else anybody can try, no problem.
Samipya Mukti. Samipya means the liberated soul is always in the company of the Lord. Just like Arjuna. Whenever Lord takes his incarnation, Arjuna is there to accompany. They are never separated. That is Samipya Mukti.
Right. So the pure devotees, they always aspire to, be very close to the Lord. Okay. So like Arjuna, Krishna and Arjuna, they were always close friends. They behaved like close friends. Arjuna was a bhakta. Arjuna was a living entity. And Krishna, supreme personality. Okay. So because Arjuna, always wanted the association of Supreme Lord and always wanted to serve Supreme Lord, so he acquired a position of, being a constant, associate, who is very near to the Lord. Okay. So this option also is there for a living entity who can aim for. Okay. So instead of losing the identity, okay, so a identity which is good enough to release the association of Lord. Okay. And the fifth one, Srashta Mukti. Can anybody read? Anybody?
Shashti Mukti means to get the same opulence. One gets all the opulence as the Lord has got. One becomes as good as Lord, becomes so powerful. This is Sarshti Mukti. Bali Maharaj was granted a special planet called Sutala by Lord Vamana, where he enjoyed a great opulence like that of Lord. Thus, King Bali is an example of Sarshti Mukti. Hare Krishna.
As well as, Bali Maharaj, likewise, there is Dhruva Maharaj. Okay. Dhruva Maharaj also was a pure devotee of Lord. Lord gifted him with a, special word which is called Dhruva Mandal. Okay. So which is above in the planetary system. Okay. So this devotee, Dhruva Maharaj or Bali Maharaj, they did not serve the Lord with an intention of getting something, higher. But Lord gifted them with, by looking at their sincerity, Lord gifted them one such abode, which is, quite similar to the abode of Lord, but not as, effulgent as the, Lord's abode. Okay. So for a long time, they rule that abode. Okay. So this also, devotees, they don't aim even for this also. They only aim for either Samipya Mukti or, the other one which, you know, Salukya Mukti or Samipya Mukti. They aim for this only, because when you, attain that kind of mukti, then you will get the association of Lord. That's what the devotees aim for. That's what the individual soul, we as a living entities, should aim for. Okay, not, something getting into merged into something wherein we have to lose our identity and just hang like something, as an atomic particle. Okay, no. When we have different options, of getting associated to Lord, we should aim for that. Okay. So the speculative thinkers, the jnanis, they have very poor fund of knowledge about this. Okay, but bhaktas, they always aspire for this. Okay. And however, so that was about the, you know, devotees who are trying, who are doing sadhana to, get attainment, get liberation. Okay, the types of however, there are some kind of living entities, what they aim for is, they don't aim for any kind of liberation or association with Lord. They just keep on doing the pious activities. Okay. So pious activities in the sense, doing good to people, distributing food, cloth, shelter, kind of, pious activities, doing some fire sacrifices, yajnas, different kind of yajnas. Now, where does those souls travel to? So they travel to heavenly planets. As per the pious credit that they acquire, okay, they get a chance to live in heavenly planet and enjoy the heavenly opulences. Okay, from living entity till Brahma. Okay, all are called, all are in material, world only. However, Brahma is his abode is little bit higher than the material world, but still, they get changed. Okay? The soul who is present in Brahma will also gets changed. Okay, likewise, living entity, when he does all pious activities, they get a chance to live in heavenly planets. Once the pious credit is completed, they again come back to the material life. They again take birth in the material life. Okay, so this is also one another option that soul has, where the soul can travel. Okay, however, and if the living entity neither aiming for association of Lord, nor aiming for heavenly planets, but only indulged in enjoying the different material enjoyments by being with this body, what will happen to those souls? If they take position in hellish planets, they go to hellish planets. So the journey happens like this. Once the living entity, the soul quits the body according to his practices. If spiritual, then go to spirit, then the soul will go to spiritual world. If pious, then go to hell, heavenly planets. If neither pious nor spiritual, then the soul has to suffer hellish planets. And in the above two options, soul will get, if the soul goes to heavenly planets, the soul will get a divya sharir, celestial body. And if the soul goes to the Supreme Lord's abode, there the soul gets a body called celestial body. The more than the Divya Sharir, the body with which, as we discussed in the four-handed form, Chaturbhuja form, kind of bodies the soul will get. Constantly, wherever the soul is, it requires a body. Okay, if the soul is, the living entity did not do any kind of spiritual practices nor good things also, then they have to undergo hellish planets, where they will get a body called Yatana Sharir. So the body which is being meant for suffering only. At least by being in human body, sometimes you get suffering, sometimes you get pleasures. However, when the living entity, if he doesn't use this body properly to practice any kind of spiritual practices, they have to undergo, they have to go to hellish planets by taking a body called Yatana Sharir, and they have to undergo the punishments that, for the sins that they have committed. Okay, so that is the journey of the soul. Okay, so that is the journey of the soul, how the soul travels from different bodies according to its deeds and activities. Okay, so in Bhagavatam there is a wonderful narration of Chitraketu Maharaj. How many of you heard of Chitraketu Maharaj? Okay, wonderful, Lakshmi Mataji. Okay, so there was a king called Chitraketu who did not had any child. He was childless, because of which he suffered a lot. Because being a king, he always wanted to give his empire to his inheritance. However, he did not had child, so that was making him suffer a lot. So he was always upset because of that thing. So one day what happened, Narada Muni and there was another Muni called Angirasa, they visited King Chitraketu. And Chitraketu respected them, give them a nice seat, and he washed their feet and sprinkled the water on his head, and they spoke to them with nice words, and they inquired about their whereabouts, and he asked him, does they need anything, and he asked him how can he serve them, like that. He inquired, and they were very happy. However, they found the lamentation. They found they could see that king is not happy. They could understand that, and they questioned king, why, what happened, my dear Chitraketu? Why are you so unhappy? What is making you unhappy like that? They question. And then king replied, my dear rishis, you know that you are, past, present, and future. You know about my condition. I am childless king. I am so worried. After me, who will rule this country? Like that, I'm so worried. This always haunts me every day and night. Like that, Chitraketu replied. Then, Narada Muni and Angirasa Muni, what they did. Angirasa Muni gave him a boon. So I'll give you a boon wherein you will get child who will give you happy and distress. Like that, Angirasa Muni says to Chitraketu. Then Angirasa Muni, he gives some divine preparation which is called sweet rice, and he asks Chitraketu Maharaj to give this preparation to make his wife to eat this preparation, so that his wife will beget a child. Okay. So then Angirasa Maharaj could not understand the logic of Chitraketu Maharaj could not understand the logic behind the statement that Angirasa Muni gave. He said, a child, you will become a father to a child who gives you happiness and distress. So Chitraketu Maharaj thought, obviously, children, when they make noise and all, obviously that's a kind of headache to the parents. So he was not worried about that. He thought that small kind of, distress that the child may give. However, soon, when Chitraketu Maharaj's wife ate that sweet rice, she conceived, and she gave birth to a baby boy, okay, a male child. And Chitraketu Maharaj was so jubilant, happy. He gave feast to the people in his entire kingdom. And he gave a lot of, gifts to the Brahmanas and everything. He celebrated, and everybody was so happy in the kingdom that king got a boy. And a king had many other wives as well. They were also happy. However, eventually what happened, since king, for so long period, he was aspiring for a kid. Soon after he got the kid, he lost all his he kept all his duties aside, and he was spending his major time with the king only. Okay, the king and with the wife with whom the child was born. Okay, so he was spending much time with them only, and this made the other queens to become envious of this boy. And soon what they did, they made a plan to poison this boy and kill this boy, so that the king will again come back to them. Like that, they planned a plan. And one day night, they mixed poison in the milk that is fed to the boy, and the next day boy was dead. His face became bluish and he was dead. And everybody became upset. Everybody started crying, weeping, a lot of grief. King was so unhappy. He fell on ground and crying like a small baby. That point of time, again, Narada Muni and Angirasa Muni, they both came, visited Chitraketu Maharaj, and they asked him, what happened, my dear Chitraketu? Why are you unhappy? Why are you crying like that? Then Chitraketu Maharaj thought, what kind of question is this? They are seeing the dead body of my kid, and they are seeing people who are crying. Can't they understand that because of the death of my son I am crying? Like that, Chitraketu Maharaj thought, but he could not ask them. He could not tell them that. However, he conveyed them that the reason, cause for my grief is that my son whom I was I was pampering, he is dead today. He is no more today. Like that, Chitraketu told. Then Narada Muni intervened and he said, my dear Chitraketu, were you crying before this boy was born? Like that, he questioned. And Chitraketu said, no, I was not. And then, why are you crying now? When the boy was not there, you were not crying, and now also the boy is not there. Why are you, wasting your time? Of course, your son is dead. You have to do the remaining rituals. But if you lose your composure towards ruling your kingdom, and you just invest your whole time in crying like this, for how many days you will cry? Like that, Narada Muni started talking to Chitraketu. Then, Chitraketu asked him, so tell me, what should I do? Then, Narada Muni said, don't cry. If you are crying like this, then, I'll do one thing. I'll bring back your boy to the life. I'll give life to your boy. Let's see what your boy says. Like that, Narada Muni says, and, Narada Muni calls the soul the soul who was present in the boy's body, and the soul enters into the boy's body, and the boy starts talking to Narada Muni, and the boy questions Narada Muni, my dear Muni, please tell me, what is your instruction? Why did you call me? Like that, the boy questions. Then Narada Muni, tells to that boy that, your father is crying because you are dead, because you left him, it is giving him a lot of stress. So please talk to your father, like that, Narada Muni tells to the boy. Then the boy replies, questions Narada Muni, my dear Narada Muni, you're talking about which father? You're talking about the which father? If he's a father, in which life he was my father? Like that, the boy was questioning. And Chitraketu Maharaj was hearing to the conversation between Narada Muni and the boy. And he was shocked to listen. He was my son. I was, daily playing with him. He even used to recognize me as a father. Now, how is he talking? And he is just without any sentiment. How is he talking like that? The Chitraketu Maharaj was shocked. And the boy, asked Narada Muni that, my dear Muni, I had lakhs, millions of fathers. So I don't know regarding which father you're talking about. I was happy that, immediately after taking this body, within a short span of time, I quit this body. I was happy that, I don't had to lead a human life for so long period. I was happily going back to the other planets, but you called me, and you're not giving me a proper reason. Why did you call me? Like that, the boy was questioning, and Narada Muni said, your father is crying, don't you see that? Like the Narman said. The boy said, I had many fathers like this. So if I have to convince each of my father, again, I have to take millions and millions and millions of births. Do you want me to undergo so many millions of life, which I was already undergoing? Like that, the boy was talking philosophy. Then Chitraketu Maharaj understood that, there is no use of crying. I have to understand that, the body is temporary. It, will have the changes of Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. It takes birth, lives for some time, and leaves the body, becomes old, and the body will die. I mean, the person who is dwelling in the body, the soul will leave the body once the body becomes old. So this philosophy, this logic was understood by Chitraketu Maharaj, and then he performed all the rituals, and he asked Narada Muni, my dear, master, I consider you as my spiritual master hereafter. So you tell me, how can I, what is the purpose of me, my life, what should I have to live for? Like that, he questioned, and then Narada Muni explained him the knowledge of Lord. He gave him a mantra to chant, and he started practicing chanting that mantra, and he attained a position wherein, Lord Sankarsana came and gifted him a celestial airplane with which he can travel to any world, and he was traveling. He used that celestial airplane to travel to different worlds, and he started preaching the philosophy. He started, doing kirtan of Harinam. So, and once, that's how, Chitraketu Maharaj was elevated. Later on, because of some mistake, he has to undergo a curse, and there's a huge story after that. However, what we have to understand is, the soul, the journey of the soul, okay, doesn't stop. Okay. Some people say, it has an end once it gets liberated. Some proofs, strong proofs which are there, which convey us that, the soul always, takes one or other body, okay, and tries to continue that individuality, okay. Uh, so those individuality, positions that we discussed, the different kinds of muktis, okay. However, if the soul doesn't undergo any of this condition, if the soul only involved in doing sinful activities, there is a huge discussion about how a sinful person's journey will be. Okay? So that really terrifies, it's really amazing to listen, and how the soul travels, how even you, me, everybody, what we did, when we were when we were in previous life, and after that when we quit the body, when we again acquired a new body, okay. So there is a detailed description how did we acquire the body, and after entering into the womb of a mother, what did we do. All these descriptions are recorded, are there in Bhagavatam, okay. So it is clearly mentioned, okay. You will be shocked to read those, listen those, because you, me, after taking this body, once we grow up, we tend to forget our real position, where we came from and where we have to go, okay. So if we forget these things, and if we try to endeavor just to maintain this body, then there is no use of us then we don't get an eligibility to take human form of life also, okay. So and uh, when it comes to the soul, it is explained in the 22nd sloka that the soul and super soul are constant companions, both are friends sitting on one tree, okay. So the living entity desires and Supreme Personality grants. Okay, so this is what will happen. So the living Supreme Personality, he doesn't put a command or condition on living entity. He gives a little free will to the living entity. Supreme Personality gives a little free will to the living entity. We misuse that, because of which we undergo sufferings again and again and again and again, as long as, and the sufferings will continue until we start practicing spiritual, we start practicing the spiritual practices. We have to suffer, we until we get into spiritual path, until we chant the holy names of Lord. So Krishna says, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ye Jana Prayupasate Tesham Nityabhittanam Yogakshemam Vahamiham. Those who constantly chant, those who constantly memorize me, those who constantly hear about me. So, my dear Arjuna, I take care of them. Their Yogakshema is taken care of me, like that Krishna says. But we, because of gross involvement with the material energy, we keep on forgetting about the Supreme Lord. Okay. So it is like, since Supreme Lord gives the free will, we misuse that free will. So that's the reason we have to suffer. And most of them, so they identify themselves as body only. However, here we have information which says that the bodies are being changed. The soul is changing different bodies. When we have such knowledge, why should we have to think of this body only? So we had a body, we quit that, and we came into this body. Again, we will quit this, and we go to another body. So this will keep on continuing. And when there is a clear proof, information about you will be changing into a different body, So why are we not trying? Why are we not planning for a betterment, for a better body wherein we don't have to suffer? Should we plan or not? Yes or no? Say yes or no, anybody. Just
Yes,
say.
Prabhuji.
Yeah. Okay. So while endeavoring for the betterment of body, I mean, when one starts practicing the spiritual practices, the side effects of spiritual practices is like, the people around him will become peaceful. He don't involve making them suffer, nor he gets suffered by them. And he doesn't take or he doesn't acquire more than what he requires. He doesn't become greedy. Instead, he becomes, gratitude. He shows gratitude towards everything that has been gifted to him. So such, sattvic side effects one will acquire when one starts practicing spiritual practices. So that's the reason one has to preserve this knowledge, learn, meditate, and preach this knowledge to everybody, so that everybody becomes peaceful. And there might be many questions that arises when the soul topic comes, like what is the connection between soul, like who is directing the soul, what is the connection between soul and body, mind, who is directing them, and the actual position of soul is complete blissful full knowledge, because soul is also Sanatan. From the time Supreme Personality is there, from that time soul is also there. And where did it start from? Okay. So if you try to understand, so we were also spiritual beings. However, we had, because of the free will option that we had, we desired to become Lord, become take a authoritative position to something, maybe to a place or family or whatever it may be. So in the supreme world, in the spiritual world, the authoritative person is Lord himself. Or we cannot become an authority. But we had a desire to become an authority. That is not possible there. So we are given a chance to become a small kind of authoritative person in this world. In this material world, everybody is a leader. Maybe at family, at office, or at some to some city, town, or whatever it may be. Okay, in in fulfilling our desire of becoming authoritative person or a leader to enjoy our free will, so we lost our true identity and we are wandering in this material world. Okay. So as in when we do different endeavors, different activities, the impressions of those activities gets regarded into our subtle body, so this body, the soul is dwelling in this body. Okay. And who is commanding this body? Your intelligence is commanding your body. Okay. For example, like, if you look at something, okay, if you have a sense of what that is, then a desire will develop to acquire or to leave that. Okay, so where is that information of to acquire or leave that coming? From our intelligence. Okay, and how this intelligence is been developed? When we completely involve in the material life, when we become, when we mingle with the prakriti, the material nature, so different desires will develop. So if you don't control them, they keep on coming, and you will keep on trying to feeding the body, and that impressions, that temporary pleasures will get regarded, And to fulfill those temporary pleasures, again, you have to keep on taking bodies. Again, we have to suffer. Okay, so the suffering of soul continues. So that's how the journey happens. There is a lot to discuss, but some information about the soul journey is a bit terrifying. So that's the reason probably I thought of not discussing. However, so I'd like to stop here. Okay, if anybody has any questions, can ask.
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yeah, one by one. Yeah.
So there is this Yatna Sharir, right? And it takes that form to undergo the karma and suffering, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
But there's also human life which undergoes karma and suffering. So how is it determined that what share will go to Yatna Sharir and what will go to human body?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question, Prabhu. Good. So when we are in human form of life, we indulge in different kind of sinful activities. Okay, obviously we have to undergo punishment when we does are involved in sinful activities. Sometimes what happens, the soul always carries two kinds of credits. One is pious credit and one is impious credit. Okay, so if he has lot of pious credit, lot of good credit in his account, okay, so so God will allow the soul to undergo that pious credit, and by undergoing the pious credit, if the soul quits the body, again, he has to take another life, and he has to undergo that impious credit which was not cleared. Okay, so the portion, the share that you're talking about, the human body and the yatana sharir is, if you compare that, the yatana sharir undergoes probably, I can say, 1,000 or 10,000 times more than the human form of sufferings that we get. Okay, so you might be thinking that if I did a sinful activity, obviously the local government is punishing me. I underwent punishment. However, there is some supreme authority. You cannot escape from that authority. Even though you undergo the punishment in the material world, you still have to undergo the supreme punishment, which is destined. After you undergo that punishment, then only you will get eligibility to take another body. Okay. However, if one understands that when he was in a human form of life, and when he tries to become a good devotee, or when he tries to chant holy names of Lord, then the suffering will minimize. I mean, it will be decreased. Okay, so does it answer your question, Prabhu? Sapan Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. So, yes, Anita Mataji. One moment, Mataji. Gita Mataji, please go ahead. Your question.
Prabhuji, we talked about soul, different types of things, but my question is maybe a little bit different. So a soul doesn't even remember from which body it has come, right? Even in the example that Chitraketu Maharaj you have explained. Then now we do a lot of things for that soul who left the body, right? Like every year we celebrate the so-called Tithi, and also on their name we offer so many things, and for 11 days for whom even that soul doesn't remember also. So are we doing it for that body or soul? What is the purpose of all these things then to do?
Good question, Mataji. So there is one category of entities. They are called Pitru Devatas.
Yes.
Yeah. So for them we do. However, once the so the journey happens like this. Once a soul quits the body, at once, he will be taken to the hellish planets, and his complete account will be opened. I mean, I'm trying to tell in a simple word so that we can understand. Okay, so his complete account will be opened. Okay, and it will be decided what kind of things he's done within a short span of time. And if the soul has to undergo if the soul has did many sinful activities, then he has to undergo many punishment. Then what the Yamadutas do is that they bring back the soul, and they will place the soul at the place where these rituals are being done, the Shraddha ceremony, the Dahana Samskar ceremony. All this, they will make the soul to see what is happening, what their so-called family members are doing in absence of him. Did they really love him all these days, or they were just acting all these days? And like that, the soul will be seeing all this, and whatever rituals that they do, within the rituals itself there are some activities which also give some pious credit to the soul. Okay, and that pious credit will help to the soul, like um, it is said, if one has his boy, a child, if he gives tarpan, if he does the shraddha karma, and the soul does not have to undergo one of the hellish suffering that is called, there is one hellish suffering that is called punnama naraka. Okay, so where he has to cross a great or a big ocean. Okay, where by walking like that. Okay, if somebody had a child who did this Shraddha karmas properly, then that will help the soul to avoid that kind of sufferings to some extent. Okay, so the karmas that we are doing, the rituals that we are doing, obviously are meant to add some pious credit to the soul which quit the body, so that it doesn't undergo further more sufferings. Okay, further more suffering. So to stop that, though once the soul is departed from the body, there is no connection to that soul and their family members, but the cycle should go on. So in the beginning, Lord created a cycle where one has to help each other to elevate to the higher planets. Okay, so in fact in Mahabharata, Yudhishthir Maharaj performs Rajasuya Yajna. So the reason why he performs Rajasuya Yajna is he inquires Narada Muni that about his father. His father Pandu Maharaj, once he quits the body, he lives in heavenly planets, and higher than heavenly planets there are more spiritual planets. Okay, then Yudhishthir Maharaj asks Narada Muni, who has access to all the worlds, my dear Narada Muni, please tell me how is my father doing? Where is he? Like that he questions. Then Narada Muni says, my dear Yudhishthir Maharaj, your father needs a little more pious credit to travel to even more higher planets for the betterment of him. Why don't you perform this Rajasuya Yajna? Like that, he suggests. Upon his instruction, he performs that. Okay, and whatever pious that Yudhishthir Maharaj acquires, that will be offered to the departed soul. Okay, with that credit, it is just like if you have a kid, or if you have a father. Okay, if you have a father who is living in India and you are living in abroad. Okay, to make sure that your father is living peacefully in India, you will keep on sending some money, deposit some money with some other means, right? Maybe Western Union transfer or direct bank or something you will be doing, right? For the peaceful life, to lead a peaceful life. Okay, you'll be keep on sending the money, right? So what is the purpose of sending? So you want your father, your parents to lead a peaceful life even in your absence. Okay, so you feel that, you think that you plan in such a way that they should not feel the absence of you. For that purpose, you keep on sending some money, though they get some retirement share, or though they get some, rents collected from their, tenants, but still you will keep on sending the credit. Why? For your, satisfaction, and to fulfill your responsibility as a son. Okay, so we also, as a living entity, if we have to lead a peaceful life, we are, there are some duties that are prescribed to all the human beings. We have to follow those duties, whether we are directly related to them or not. It has been prescribed in scriptures. We have to do. That's the reason we perform all these rituals. Okay, and by doing those rituals, we get benefited. So there is a nice description about these rituals, what we have to do in the 3rd chapter. When we come across that, I will, try to give elaborated insight towards them. Okay, so did it answer your question, Gita Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. So even though the soul doesn't remember, whatever the good deeds that we do for them, if the soul is in some
Yes.
relieving, they will be relieved. Okay.
Yes,
So
in
the
fact,
credits, the credits will go to them.
yes,
Got
in
it.
fact,
Got
in fact, when the body is being carried to the graveyard, people, just they throw the puffed rice
Yeah.
with sugar
Yeah.
and all. The reason why they throw is that, this puffed rice and sugar, when it falls on the ground, if the ants and small living entities, if they eat, okay, because it is being thrown in the name of him. So the ants, if they eat, some pious credit will be generated over there, and that will also add to this soul, so that it will help for him to travel further, in the higher plans. So that's how the Sanatan Dharma rituals are designed. People, they laugh, they make fun of it, but for every activity, every ritual that we do in Sanatan Dharma, there is a huge depth meaning in that.
Thanks, Prabhuji. That answered my question, because we do for four fathers also, we offer
Yeah.
every year, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Prabhuji. Thanks.
Yes, Anita Maji, sorry to keep you on hold. Gita Mataji raised hand first, so that's the reason I gave her chance.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat.
Yes, Mataji.
No problem, Prabhuji. Happy to see you again. My question is, Prabhuji, to go into advance, to go into advance in spiritual life, so body needs a soul, and that soul is directly connected to spirit soul. Am I right, Prabhuji?
Soul needs a body to, get elevated.
Elevated, right? In that condition, to do the spiritual advance, the human body should be in a healthy position, or that should be in a healthy way or a healthy position.
Okay. So your question is, if a soul has to advance in the spiritual life, does the soul requires a healthy body?
Healthy body,
Or
yeah.
a disease, kind of body which is suffering with many diseases.
Yes, yes.
So if you have to advance in spiritual life, you should try to, purify your intelligence. So there, with this gross body, we cannot progress in spiritual life. Only with the subtle body, subtle mind, subtle intelligence, we can progress. So, for example, a person is doing a ritual, doing a yajna, for example, which is also a ritual which is prescribed in Bhagavad Gita everywhere. Okay, and that is a very pious activity. Okay, however, if he is doing with an inattentiveness, no attention at all, the body is just pouring the ghee, and people are reciting the mantras and listening, but he's meditating upon the new movie that is released. When will this yajna sacrifice will complete? Tomorrow I'll plan to go to movie. If you are thinking, if the body is involved, but mind is not involved, there is no use of that. Same like chanting also. If you are doing chanting, And you're just saying Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, 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 Hare. Today in the office, what happened? That woman, she wore so and so dress, so beautiful. Hare Krishna, Hare. Like that, if you're chanting, then there is no use at all. Okay. However, if your body is involved in doing something, some work, okay, probably maybe work at office or driving or eating, whatever it may be, but constantly in your mind, today in the Bhagavad Gita, we learned this. I heard about these, these are the glories of Lord. Like that, if you keep on thinking, though your body is working, involved in some activity, but your mind is attached to Supreme Lord, that's when you're progressing. It doesn't mean that you have to do your office work with inattentiveness. That will again bind you. You have to do your activities properly, okay, with proper mind. However, your aim should be your connection, your subtle intelligence connection should be connected to the body, yes, to the Supreme Person. Okay, that's the reason you will see, many exalted spiritual personalities, though they suffer a lot, they don't care. For them, Krishna says, going further, you listen this, prasade sarva dukkhanam hanir asipajayade prasanna chetosapasu buddhi paryavadishtate. Those whose, intelligence is elevated, they, consider all these sufferings as prasade sarva dukkhanam. All this distress, all these problems, they think it as they assume them as prasada of Supreme Lord. So do we accept the prasadam of Supreme Lord by and we take
Definitely, Prabhuji.
the same
Definitely,
way,
surely.
all these problems, those whose intelligence is elevated, they consider them as, these are helping me so that I don't get attached to the material world. If everything is settled smoothly in the material world, you will never aim to go to spiritual world.
Spiritual.
Some sort of
Absolute truth,
problems
Prabhuji. Absolute truth.
some sort of problems will keep on coming because it's temporary world. This is designed to be temporary. Okay. So hence, you'll try for something permanent. That's when the spiritual existence comes. Okay. So did it answer your question, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. It was a very nice answer, Prabhuji. Another one question is there, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
Like soul and soul changes its body to another body, no? So how many years it will take, depending upon the karma or mukti, types of mukti?
So as long as soul falls under shelter of a pure bona fide Vaishnava, it will keep on traveling.
Oh, Haribol, to serve Krishna.
Yeah, so it's to serve Krishna.
Krishna,
Okay.
yeah.
So that is the stop, full stop
stop.
of the soul. Okay. It has been proved. It has been proved. Okay. There are many stories. If I start quoting them, it will take a lot of time. So there are many stories which describe how even the most sinful people got elevated to a higher consciousness. For example, just think of our Srila Prabhupada only. He went to Western world where the people had no knowledge of what is soul, what is God, but he made them. He made them diamonds out of the completely lost stones. So they were like drug addicts, chain smokers, alcoholics. He made them pure Vaishnavas. And there are stories how Prabhupada helped them to help them at the time of death as well. Okay. So as long as the soul doesn't take shelter of a pure Krishna, devotee of Lord, so he has to undergo sufferings. Okay.
Got it, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare
Welcome,
Krishna.
Mother. Hare Krishna. So anybody has any other questions?
Prabhuji, can I ask another question?
Yeah, if nobody is there, yeah, you can, Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Now, just now, Gita Mataji told now, like feeding and austerity is maintained after 11 days when the body left the soul, that one. Regarding that one, Prabhuji, can we offer rice or rice bath to crow, Prabhuji?
Yeah,
On
yes.
that day, it is declared, and as per Shastra, what does our parampara says?
Yeah, yes. Yes, there is a connection. Yeah, crow, you know, it if eats the food that is given as a pinda pradhan, you know, that will help the departed souls. Likewise, you know, if Garuda eats the same pinda, you know, that will add even more pious credit. Okay, these are all, you know, adding pious credit to the departed soul, so that the soul safely travels to higher planets without suffering. That's the reason, you know, there are many people, when the, you know, Mahalaya Paksha comes, the Pitru
Yes.
Paksha, which comes in Bhadrapada Masa, many, you know, people, what they do, they give money, and, you know, they ask to recite Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and, you know, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and give that credit to their Pitrus, like that, you know, they ask Brahmanas to recite in the name of their Pitru, their, you know, departed forefathers.
Prabhuji. And Prabhuji,
Yeah,
if,
one more, Mataji. Yeah, Srinivas Prabhu, after Srinivas Prabhu,
okay.
Srinivas Prabhu, you have a question. Your voice is not audible, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Prabhu, you are mute, it seems.